Hey guys, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are doing the middle grade book tag. So I was tagged by Ramsey from Rajathon to do this tag months ago. I'm so behind on tag videos, even though I love watching them. And this is a tag that sounded right up my alley because it is all about middle grade books. This was a tag created by the Curly Reader. I will leave their channel and original video linked down below, as well as Ramsey's channel and video. And it looks like we have 8 questions here, all about middle grade books, so I think we're gonna jump right on in. Question number 1, what is the last middle grade book you read? So I have literally just finished The Arctic Incident, which is the second book in the Artemis Fowl series by Owen Colfer. This is a reread for me, so I wasn't entirely too sure if this counted, although I did love it. 4 out of 5 stars. I've actually read this series multiple times, so you can never go wrong with this. The first book follows Artemis Fowl, who is a 12-year-old genius who is basically trying to live up to his father's name in the criminal underworld. His father is currently missing and has also sort of depleted their family fortune, so Artemis takes it upon himself to try to steal fairy gold. That's the first book. Absolutely love that one as well, but I just finished this. However, I wasn't actually sure if that counted because it was a reread. So the most recent middle grade book I've read, actually I read in January, and that is Nevermoor, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is another one that I absolutely loved. This follows our main character of Morgan, who is 11 and is destined to die at midnight on her 11th birthday. But she ends up getting whisked away by Jupiter North to another land where, in order to stay in that land, she has to join the Wondrous Society. But in order to do that, she actually has to compete in some trials. So there is magic in here. It has a lot of just fun elements. I really love the characterization as well. And so besides my reread stuff of Artemis Fowl, this is the most recent middle grade I read in January. Number 2, what is a middle grade book someone read to you as a kid? I was having a little hard time racking my brain trying to figure it out, only because I don't remember a lot of stuff that happened during elementary school. Like, I'm sure a lot of the books that I remember reading in elementary school, we did have some parts that were read aloud to us, but in general I think we either did like popcorn reading where we took turns reading, or I read them myself. But I did figure out one, and that is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. The Hobbit is technically a middle grade book. It is written for children compared to like The Lord of the Rings, which is adults. And in 6th grade, our English teacher actually had a whole subject lesson on this book. So it took us a while, I think almost a whole quarter of school to do this, but we definitely read the book. I think she read some of it out loud. We also read some in the popcorn reading method that I mentioned before. And then once we finished reading the book, we also listened to the BBC radio play. I'm pretty sure it was a radio play. And then we also watched the cartoon movie. And we did stuff with it. Like, I think we had like essays and stuff that we had to do and projects. I don't remember all of the actual lesson stuff because 6th grade was a long time ago for me, like 20 years ago, but I definitely do remember this being a really good lesson that we ended up doing. And so yes, definitely this one. I know some people might not consider this middle grade, but you can actually purchase this book in the children's section in bookstores because it was originally like a story that J.R.R. Tolkien told to his kids, and they kept asking him to repeat the story, and anytime that he switched up details, they were like, no, that's wrong. And so in order to appease them, he decided to write it down as a book for children because he was getting things wrong and his children would not let him get away with it. Number 3, what was your favorite middle grade book as a child? So I think I'm gonna have to go with Artemis Fowl because I'm currently rereading it. I absolutely remember loving this book. This is like the 3rd copy I've owned. I don't have my original copy anymore because it was very, very trashed, and I don't know when it sort of disappeared, but it did. But I bought the original when it came out in 2001 when I was 11 years old, and I remember absolutely loving it back then. Then we had new covers a few years ago, and then this cover came out a couple years ago before the release of the Fowl Twins series, which is the spin-off, and I have not read those yet, which is part of the reason I'm rereading these. But I absolutely love Artemis Fowl. This is definitely one that I remember loving as a child because I was right around in age to Artemis Fowl as these books were coming out. I just absolutely love it. I already talked about the synopsis, so I won't do that again, but I absolutely love this. Don't watch the movie. What is your favorite middle grade book as an adult? So this is sort of hard for me as well because I actually have quite a bit of middle grade that wasn't out when I was a child, and so I read them later in life. Some of them even I read more as like late teens going into my early 20s, and I've been an adult for a while, so it's just, there's a ton. But I picked a couple that are recent for me that are favorites, and so one as my favorite middle grade from last year is Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. I absolutely love this one. This one follows our main character of Sophie, who I believe is 11 in this one. The preteens seem to be a very common age for a lot of the books that I love in the middle grade section, even though some of the kids can go a little bit younger than that as main characters. But she finds out that she is not human, and she also has telepathy. She ends up going to this new land where she is an elf, and like everybody's an elf, and like people have powers, but she is one of my favorite reasons for this book. She is so smart, but she also asks all the right questions because she's just completely uprooted from her life to go and do this. And then, you know, things happen. There's almost like a little conspiracy going on. I absolutely love her friendships in here too, and I have the next 2 books in the series that I definitely need to get to. And then my favorite middle grade so far that's not a reread for 2021 is Nevermoor, The Trials of Morgan Crow. We talked about this one as well, but again, I absolutely love the characters in here and the friendships they're making. These are just so good. I can just imagine being the actual target audience for these middle grades, and I would have loved these if I was younger. I mean, I still love them now as a 31-year-old woman, but somehow I think that the middle grade nowadays is a little bit better than what we had back then, and there's just so much more to them. Oh, I love these. Who is your favorite middle grade author? Now this one, again, I was really racking my brain because I didn't want to pick somebody that I've only read 1 book or 2 books or 1 series from. So I ended up going with R.L. Stine. I was addicted to Goosebumps when I was younger. They were books that I remember going into the library when we had library time in elementary school, and they would always be checked out. Those and the Choose Your Own Adventure books, but those were multiple authors. And so Goosebumps was one of those things that I absolutely loved. Everybody my age absolutely loved. We would have to put our name on a waiting list to get those books. And I love those. But also he did Fear Street, which is going a little bit more into YA, although I do feel like it's a little bit younger YA, so like that middle ground between middle grade and YA. And so I've definitely read multiple books by R.L. Stine, multiple series, because some of his books are in a series, some of them are just individual standalones in the Goosebumps or Fear Street world, but I really enjoy those, and so I just had to go with him. What middle grade book do you think should be required reading in school? Now, I do think I've talked about this in a different video before, and so I might be cheating a little bit with my answer, but I'm going with Percy Jackson by Rick Riordan, specifically Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. This actually is required reading in some schools. I actually, a few years ago, taught at a school as a Title I teacher, and the 6th graders had this as required reading. It was part of their, I think, mythology lessons. They would do Greek mythology stories and like actually learning about the myths, but then they also did Percy Jackson, which again, this is one of those books that I came to later in life. I was already an adult when I read this, but I still really enjoyed it. I love the fact that we did get more of a modern day setting for the Greek myths, so you still got to see those Greek myths. Like I could pick out what certain things are supposed to be, but it is brought into the modern day, so it's not exactly the same as the Greek myths. But I absolutely love this one. I loved the fact that the kids got a more recent book to analyze than some of the ones that like I would have been in school for. I do think there's probably also some even more recent middle grade books that probably should be put on reading lists, but this is one that I love just because of the Greek mythology element. I remember doing Greek mythology in school, and the fact they brought in a more current day book for that as well to supplement the lesson, oh, it's perfect. What is your favorite middle grade book cover? So this one again was very hard because I'm a very big cover buyer, and so a lot of the books that I read and love have good covers. But what I did is I actually picked 3 books off of my middle grade TBR shelf that I love the covers like so much, and the covers are making me want to read them because a lot of these books I've forgotten the like details of the synopsis, but the covers are gorgeous. So first we have Twinchantment by Elise Allen. This is gorgeous. I just love the sort of symmetry going on and the details that we have like on the top and around the edges. We have different characters and animals, like we have a cat and a bird and 2 different horses, and we have the twins in the middle, and this has something to do with a land where things that are indicative of magic are like banned, and one of those things are twins. But the princesses were born as twins, and so they take turns, I believe, being one princess until somebody finds out, and then things go from there. I'm not entirely too sure, but it is gorgeous. I definitely bought this for the cover and I want to read it. Another one is Skulduggery Pleasant by Derek Landy. This is such a better cover than the originals. I'll put the original here so you can just take a look at it. This is definitely one of those covers that I believe would be more like boy focused. Like if my brother was younger when these books came out, he would be all over this kind of cover. However, they're not my thing. But this one is very gorgeous. I just love the silhouettes that we have. Each book in this series has a different like main color in the background, and I only own the first one for now, but I really do think I'm gonna love this one, and then I'll probably want to read more in the series because it's a long series, but this follows a girl who I believe is again 11 or 12 maybe. Her name is Stephanie, and apparently her uncle was a famous author, and when he passes away she realizes maybe everything that he wrote wasn't necessarily fiction. And then we also have Skulduggery Pleasant, who is a skeleton magician detective, I think. And then also The Dragon Warrior by Katie Zhao. Again, look at how pretty this is. 1, for the art style, but 2, just the way the dragon and everything flows, and our main character is right there at the bottom. Like, I'm just so excited for this book. And then again, I don't know a ton about this one, but I do believe there is some sort of battle going on around the Lunar New Year, and our main character is like gonna fix it. I don't fully know, but it's gorgeous. And then finally, what is your favorite middle grade book to movie adaptation? I don't know. I'm racking my brain right now. I feel like a lot of the ones that I have loved recently have been book to TV, not necessarily book to movie. But one that I definitely know that I love, and I actually watched the movie first and then read the book, Ella Enchanted. Again, there's going to be some differences, but that is a wonderful movie. And so book to movie adaptation, again, it's not exactly the same, but it is such a fun movie. I remember watching that all the time when I was younger. And then because I am thinking of a lot of book to TV ones, even though that's not what the question was, I'm going to give you a few that I know I have loved recently. A Series of Unfortunate Events on Netflix. So the TV show on Netflix, not the movie. The movie with Jim Carrey just did not really work. I wanted it to work because, again, this is another series that I read starting when I was really young, but they tried to fit like 3 books into one movie and it just did not work together. But the TV show with Neil Patrick Harris, I love. Anne with an E. So this is Anne of Green Gables, but again, adapted by Netflix. I absolutely love that one. I'm sad that they have ended that one. Also though, the old made-for-TV movies that are literally like Anne of Green Gables, those I grew up with like on VHS, and I loved those as well. And then finally, one that I don't think I hear many people talk about at all, the Babysitters Club adaptation. Again, from Netflix. Netflix has a lot of good book to TV show adaptations that I'm now just realizing, but the Babysitters Club adaptation, I think it's a little bit cheesy, especially starting out, but I mean, those books, again, were my childhood, and the TV show was just so good. I think there was a couple times where I like teared up. If you love the Babysitters Club, or even if you didn't, but definitely try it out. But if you loved the Babysitters Club when you were younger, like I did, you need to watch this. And then those are all the questions. I probably should tag some people. I'm going to tag Olivia Savannah from Olivia's Catastrophe. I'm going to tag Ashley from Bookish Realm, and then Allie from Read by Allie. I know for a fact that these 3 booktubers do read middle grade books. I think there should be some more, but they're not coming off to the top of my head. So if you also read middle grade books and you want to do this book tag, definitely do it. But those 3 ladies I definitely know read middle grade books. So you are now tagged. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you would like to see more videos. I do have videos up Mondays, Thursdays, and sometimes Saturdays, so I will see you then. Bye!